I'm Nathan, if you haven't been to any of my classes yet. So, just to start off with, we might just stand up, everyone. And we'll just loosen our body up a little bit, and I'll take you through some movements where we can do some mobility, and then we'll work in pretty similar exercises as last week, doing some of the strength work. All right, first off, we're just going to give our body a little twist and just loosen up a little bit through your spine. So you don't have to think too technical about this. I want you to let your body just flow. Release up any tension if you've been doing some work or sitting at a desk, just letting those shoulders, lower back relax. And if you feel comfortable with it, you can add in a little bit of a pivot, a little bit of a swivel on your foot. Just going to go for another 5 seconds. Nice job. So last week, I talked a little bit about stretching through our hips, through the front of the hips. So we're going to do that again today. We're going to do the front. We'll do the hamstrings, we'll do the back again. And today we're also going to do some of the inner thigh muscles. So working through building a little bit of hip mobility, because a big topic of last week was when we're sitting in chairs, our hips are often in that 90-degree position. So they can get quite locked up. And our knees are often in that 90-degree position as well. And that can often, over time, lead to some back complications or stiffness if we don't get out of those positions and give our body a bit of variety of movement. All right, so the first one we're going to work on is trying to just open up and engage. So loosen up through the front of the hip, engage some of the back end of our muscles. And there's 3 ways to do that. I'll quickly brush over them again. So the first way is using a chair or something for support generally, unless you have the balance, and getting one leg back quite far. So you can have a chair here if you need. Then we're thinking about squeezing our bum, tucking our tailbone under, and you might feel some engagement here and some lengthening or stretch through the front of your leg. The other option, if you're okay with getting in this position, is actually doing it in a kneeling position. So same thing, tucking our tailbone under, squeezing our bum, and just trying to lengthen out through our hips. And the final way you can do it is somewhere in between. You can use a chair if it's soft enough, or I really like to use my couch at home. So if that's the back of the couch, I'll often kneel here where I tend to sit, have 1 foot forwards, hold the couch for support, and then just squeeze my bum, tuck the tailbone under, and lengthen out through this back leg. So what I'd like you to do is find what one's going to work for you. For most of you, probably just doing the standing version, holding something is going to be the best. Otherwise, if you're okay kneeling, then you're coming down. All right, so choose your positioning. I'll do it standing, but if you can do it kneeling, then come into this positioning. And what we're going to do now is just think about tensing our glutes, seeing if we can squeeze our bum, drive our hips forwards a little bit, and just see if you can find a bit of stretch through there. And then relax that bottom off. So we're going to do about 4 rounds, tensing the bottom on, sinking forwards, making sure we're supporting our lower back, and that's where tensing the glute will help, and just finding a bit more depth. Let's go 2 more. Tense it on. Sink into that hip, lengthen out through the front of our hips, come back, and last one. Tense, sink forwards, open up a little bit, and stepping back together. Awesome. So we're going to do the other side. I'll turn around. Same thing, doing it either standing or kneeling if you can. And trying to, if you remember, if you are watching something at home or watching TV, give it a crack, especially on ad breaks. See if you can take your hips out of 90 degrees and start lengthening out through the front of the hip a little bit. All right, so find your stance, squeeze your bottom on, lengthen out the spine, and see if you can find a bit of length there, holding for about 5 seconds, then relaxing. And going again. So let's go for 3 more. Glutes on, leaning into it, opening up through the hips, relaxing off. 2 to go. Remember to keep breathing throughout this. Just comfortable, regular breathing. Relax off. Let's go for our last one. And ideally, we're breathing through our nose throughout this whole session and after this session if you can. Good job. All right, let's step back together. Give your legs a bit of a shake off. We're going to work through the side, the inner thighs this time. All right, so for the inner thighs, you may need to, again, have a chair in front of you. If it's got a bit of a backing on it, you can use it for support. You can use a wall, anything that's available. For 2 reasons. 1, it's going to help with balance. And 2, you might be able to get into slightly deeper positions. All right, so what we're aiming to do this time is just open up through our legs a tad. So we're going to bring our legs as wide as we feel comfortable today. Don't force anything. We'll just get used to this and ease into these positions. So chair's perfect to help you. And then from here, we'll be bending one knee. Try your best to keep your kneecap out so it lines up with the middle of your foot. If it doesn't, you'll get a bit less mobility, but this will help keep it more stable and hopefully just get a bit more even forces through the knee. So we're driving that knee out, sitting our bottom back, using the chair for support, and just seeing if we can get a little bit of length here and sink into this hip as well. That's feeling okay, you're then pushing back up, switching to the other side. So we bend the knee, we keep it tracking out, so we've got more stability around the hip and ankle. Sink into it within your comfort zone today. And push back up. Nice work. We can go 1 more each side. Knee stays out, tracking through the middle of our foot. Bottom sinks back like we're sitting back into a chair. Come back to the center. And 1 more the other way. Back to center. Good. Next week, we're going to work on this exercise a bit more, but what you've actually just done as well is a bit of a lateral lunge. So it's a good one, especially as we build on our balance, to build some strength through our legs, particularly the outside and inner thighs. All right, last one is trying to get a little bit of length and activation through the hamstrings, the back of the thighs. So you can do this standing or sitting. Let's try to keep up with standing. But if you feel you need to sit down, that's okay. So what we'll do, we're going to put 1 foot out in front. Use your chair here again for support. We're going to sink our bum back, and then I want you to just think about driving your heel into the ground. See if you can tense through your hamstrings for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then relax and just sink down a little bit further. So you tense, you're pulling that heel down to the ground and towards you, engaging all that muscle and tissue, then relaxing it and just sinking a little bit further. Let's go for 2 more. Tense, fire up the hamstrings, probably a little bit of your calf. Relax, sink further down if it feels comfortable. And 1 more, tense it on, hold, relax. Sink a little bit further and come back up. Nice job. So all these exercises, particularly if you get to the point where you're not using your chair, double up as really good balance and slightly a bit of strength, but more so balance and coordination. All right, so other leg. We go down, start to find a little bit of stretch, and then we're going to pull that heel down to the ground, tense the hamstrings on, fire them up while they're in this lengthened position, and relax and sink a little bit further. And again, tense, drive into the ground. Relax, sinking further. 2 to go. tense, drive it down, relax, sinking further, last one, tense, drive into the ground, relax, sink a little bit further. Nice job. All right. Shake off the legs with the arms. We're just going to take them through a little bit of a hug and open. So you're kind of crisscrossing. So take turns at which arm's the top arm and which one's the bottom. And if I show you from the side, I'm getting to about shoulder height and pulling back to roughly shoulder height. And if you look from the back, I'm trying to squeeze my shoulder blades together. So all we're doing here is just waking up some of the muscles at the front of the arms and some of the muscles behind the shoulder blades, getting them prepped for the movements we're going to be doing. Alrighty, good. Let's shake that off too. Nice job. So we're about to get into the strength stuff now. If you don't have a TheraBand, could you just let me know? Put like a thumbs down. Cool. All right. Good. So I'll give you some versions of everything if you don't have it. So last week we did a bit of a squat for our first exercise. You've probably done a fair few of sitting and standing movements. Today we're going to look at doing a slightly different version, which is a split squat. And this will help us build some strength, particularly if we ever need to get up and down from the ground. And it's very similar to what I was just in before, this position. So what you'll be using, unfortunately I've only got my stool here today, but if you have your chair, take one step in front and have your chair in front of you, and then 1 foot back. Now, for today, you can start with a smaller step and smaller bend to get used to it, but if you're feeling confident, you want to have almost the length of 2 feet. So the size of your feet, if you were to put them on top of each other, roughly 2 of them between the heel and toe is the distance we want to work towards. So you don't have to be there today, that's fine. I want you just to find a position that you feel comfortable, and imagine your feet are on train tracks as well. So they're not on a tight rope, we're hip width apart, we've got a bit of a gap. From here, if you're needing the chair, you have 2 hands on the chair. If not, hands can go on your hips or wherever it feels comfortable. We're going to keep our back heel up, and we're just lowering down to where you feel comfortable. So for some of you, it's not going to be too far. Others, you might get a little bit lower, and then we're pushing back up. Good. For today, we're going to work on doing 6 reps. Going nice and slow, controlling down, driving back up. Now we're going to be doing 3 rounds of this, and we're doing a pressing exercise with it next. So this is our 4th rep. Going for 5 and 6 now. If you're feeling like you're getting a little bit of discomfort or you need to rest earlier, please do so. Okay? We're going to switch legs. If the split squat's not your thing today, then you can switch back to doing just the sitting and standing. Alrighty, so switching to the other side, I'll just show you front onto this side so you can see my hips and feet. Using your chair for support if needed. We're controlling down to a depth that you feel comfortable. Pushing back up. Down and up. Now a little tip, try to make sure your hips are going directly down and up and not forwards and backwards too much. So for today, we're trying to use both legs pretty evenly. I think we've got 2 to go. And last one. Good job. All right. Shaking it off a little bit. Next, we're going to be doing a bit of a press. So there's a few versions of this. I'll show you them again. One is using the band, whereby you pop it around roughly the mid-back where your shoulder blades are, and you'll be pushing out. If you don't have a band, you can use the back of a chair, provided it feels stable. I'll generally put it against the wall, or we can use the wall. So if I'm doing a press against the wall, I'm bringing my body in and out from the wall. If this is my wall, I'm coming in towards it, pushing back out. So if you want to use the band, go for it. The wall is building on a bit more of a push-up motion as well. So I really back either or. All right, so for this one, having it set, pushing out, controlling back in, out, and in. Good. If you want an extra challenge, you can add in raising a leg if you want to add a bit of balance in there. Okay, so that's very optional. The main focus here is the press, pushing out and in. Good. If you don't have one at home, that's okay. You just take your hands through a pushing action, out and in. The knee lift is just if you want a bit more intensity happening. Let's go for one more each side. Nice job. Have a little rest. Good work. So grab a quick drink, have a bit of a breather if you like one. In between these sets, we're going to do around 30 seconds to a minute, and grab a seat. And I'll just show you some stuff for the next round. If you find you can do split squats quite comfortable, like myself, then if you want to, you can add in the band. So I'd only recommend doing this if you're finding you can do a split squat pretty much all the way to the ground and come back up without much effort or discomfort. Then you can add on having the band around the front foot and going down, driving up against that band. You're going to work the front leg and the quads a bit more. So this is ways we can really get some resistance building at home. But we want to make sure we have the stability and control there first, okay? So I'm just adding these in so we can tailor it to everyone, but really listen to your body and make sure you're completing the movement that feels safe, but a little bit of a challenge. Awesome, so that's been a minute. We'll jump back up and get back into our split squats. So I'm going to do the version with the band, but if you're feeling, only copy me with the band if you feel like you can do these very comfortably, okay? Alrighty, so in the split squat position, either hands on your hips, hands on the chair, or hands on a band. They're controlling down, pushing back up. Directly down and up, making sure we're not rocking forwards, we're keeping our shoulders level, keeping our hips level, and building on that strength. One more. Good job. Switching legs. Show you from side on for this one. So right, oh, yep. 2 feet between your feet. Controlling down, driving up. Notice how my hips are staying pretty well between both my feet. I'm not moving forwards and backwards. 3 to go. Try to keep those shoulders back a little bit. Last one. Good job. Straight into our pressing now. So again, with the pressing, if you don't have a band, just go to your wall. This is your wall. You can just control yourself towards the wall, pushing away from the wall. So we're going to go for about 10 repetitions. That's it. 3, 2, 1, off we go. Either pressing out or controlling yourself into the wall and pushing back out. If we're using a wall, we want to have our hands roughly shoulder width apart and roughly at shoulder height. And then we'll be about a foot away from the wall. The further you get away from it, the harder it will be. Good. Remember, if you want that extra challenge, you can lift your legs up as well while you're doing the press with the band. So we can add in some of these. We've got about 4 more reps. 2 to go. Last one. Nice job. All right. Another break, roughly a minute. Grab a quick drink if you need one. And we got 1 more set. Alrighty, getting ready for our final set. So either using chair to control, help you control down, hands on hips, getting used to the movement, or TheraBand around the foot if you're feeling like you've got this movement down pat. Alrighty, I'm gonna go hands on hips for this final one. So if you can watch the technique here if you need to. Everyone getting set up. Keep a little bit of that tummy on. You're going to control directly down, push directly up. Down, up. Go for 4 more. Two to go. And last one. Nice job, switching sides. And away we go. Three to go. 2 more. And last one. Nice job. Finding your band or your wall. Going for our last lot of the presses. Keeping those shoulder blades slightly down. And 3, 2, 1. Off we go. Going for about 10 repetitions. Pushing out, controlling back in. Trying to keep nice level shoulders. Keeping your hips stacked. Let's keep that going for another 7. 6. 5 more. Last 3. Last 2. And last 1. Good job. All right, let's have a breather. Good 2-minute rest or so. Grab a proper drink, and then we're going to move into our next series of exercises. Seems like everyone handled that pretty well. Yep, good. Thumbs up. Awesome. So I'll be with you in 1 second. I'll be back in a second. All righty, everyone. So getting set up for our next exercises. So the next lot, we're going to be doing a hinge motion. The band will add resistance. But you can do the same one without a band. So we sort of discussed this a little bit last week. So with the hinge, it's a little bit different to a squat, whereby you're going to think about drawing your hips back, keeping your back straight, and then straightening back up, trying to drive through the back of the legs. So sitting our bottom back, getting some length through the back of the hamstrings, pushing through the ground and straightening back up. That feels okay. If you feel stable with that, the way we can add the resistance is by putting the band underneath our feet. Okay? So we're going to do that shortly. You can either do it with or without a band. The band's just going to add in that bit more resistance and build a bit more strength through the body. If you don't have one, that's completely fine. You'll just be going through the same motion without a band. Okay? So if you're using the band, we'll pop it on the floor. We'll stand over it. We're going to think about pulling our shoulders back, keeping our knees apart, and driving up. Control back down, sit your bum back, drive back up. Good, so we're going through 10 of these. So if you don't have a band, you're just going through the same motion without the resistance, thinking about sitting bottom back, driving up through the ground. Good work. We got 4 to go. 3 more. 2 more. And last one. Nice work. Slowly but safely step off your band. And now we're going to work through a bit of a back exercise. So there's 2 ways we can do this. Level 1 is that you'll be bent forwards and we're drawing our shoulder blades together and back down. So if we look from front on, raising our arms up and down. And as I'm doing that, if I can get my back into the screen, I'm thinking about drawing my shoulder blades together, trying to squeeze through here while keeping my tummy a little bit active. Now doing it, if I do it directly upright like this, it's actually working more of the muscles around the top of my shoulder and some of my back. But if I hinge down like so, now I need to work against gravity and the muscles of my back, my mid-back, are doing a lot more of the effort. All right, so let's all try that for level 1, and then I'll show you something we can do with the band as another option for the next round. So we're going to hinge down, sit your bum back, hands down in front. Imagine you're holding little dumbbells. And we're going to open up, squeeze our shoulder blades together, control back down. Up and squeeze, down and together. Good. Make sure, I don't want you to watch me in the camera. If you think you've got it, just look down at the ground. Keep your torso diagonal. Aim to squeeze through the shoulder blades. Let's go for 2 more reps. Last one. Come up for a little rest. Good work. Little breather, have a seat if you need one. And then we're going to work through the hinging, and I'll show you another version of this exercise we can do if you want to use your belly. So about a minute's break, we've got about half a minute still. Yeah, if you want to keep moving, that's awesome. And I like to take nice deep breaths in through my nose while I'm resting. So it's just going to help with that recovery, keep the energy levels up. Yay, nice. We've all got the TheraBands now. All righty, let's get back into the hinge. So I'll show you the hinge from side on again. I'm going to step onto the band, feet hip width apart. Think about driving those knees out. Now in this position, I'm going to try to draw my shoulder blades towards my bum. So that's going to keep my spine nice and straight and supported. And then I'm driving up to straight, controlling back down. Once you feel like you've got the movement right, Don't watch the camera anymore. Just look directly ahead of you. Focus on keeping good pressure with the ground, keeping your knees apart, shoulder blades slightly drawn together. And then as you come up, try to really push into the ground. You know, for 4 more reps. Last 2. Last 1. Nice job. Little breather. All right. So a variation that we can do instead of doing this exercise that we did last time. If you feel like you want to do that one again, that's completely fine. It's working very similar muscles. One you can do using the band is a band pull apart. Now I've got a pretty heavy one, so I'm going to have to grab a bit wider. Depending on your band and its resistance, you'll have to work out where the best fit to grab is. And essentially all we're doing is aiming to pull the band apart and control back out in front. Now I'm doing this with straight arms. So I'm pulling my band apart and controlling back out. So if you've got a really heavy band and you're grabbing it here, you're probably going to get stuck. So you want to think about shoulders down, pull it open, squeeze your shoulder blades together and probably come across your chest and then control back out in front. So from side on, pulling my shoulder blade back and down, opening up. We'll keep this going. We'll count these as reps. And from the back, shoulder blades pull together. Shoulder blades help to control back out. So let's go for about another 6 reps. Good work. Go for another 5. Just opening it out, coming back together. If you're feeling it in your neck, just bring your hands a bit lower or grab a little bit wider so it's a bit easier. About 2 more repetitions. 1 more. Nice job. Have a breather. Keep moving if you want to, march on the spot. If you don't want to stop, that's fine. We're going to go for 1 more round of all of that. We'll see how we're going for time. We can fit in maybe 1 more exercise after. All righty. Final lot for the hinging. Remember, if you want to make this harder, you can grab a little bit closer to your feet or purchase a variety of bands so you have different intensities. All right, so down we go. Sit those shoulders back, sit your bottom back, then drive through the ground, squeeze your shoulder blades, squeeze your bum, and control back. Driving up, controlling down. Six to go. Last 4. Keep that back straight. Squeeze the bum. Last 2. And last 1. Nice job. Legs a bit of a shake off. All right, grabbing that band now. You can either do no band, doing these ones, or using your band, doing the pull aparts. Getting ready. And 3, 2, 1, off we go. pulling apart, squeezing the shoulder blades together, controlling back together. Really try to concentrate on getting the mid back to do the work. The more you think about using those muscles, the more you're going to engage them generally, as opposed to just thinking about pulling this band apart. We want to really try to tense through our mid back and underneath the armpits. Go for 4 more reps. Last 2. And last one. Nice job, everyone. All right, have a breather. Grab a little bit of a drink if you need one. Got a bit of time now. Do one more exercise. So give yourself a little bit of a rest. And then we'll get stuck into our last one. Just going to grab a drink myself. All right. For our final exercise, we're just going to work on a tiny bit of conditioning. We're going to build more on the hips and the stability of the ankles. So this will be done standing, but if you want to, if you kind of feel like you need to sit down now, you can do a similar exercise seated. So the band is going to be around our knees. If you don't have a band, that's okay. You can just copy the movements. You just won't have the resistance. So otherwise, bands around the knees. I'll just show you the seated version of this. You'll be pulling your knees apart and together, and pulling apart and raising. The standing version, we're going to be working on taking a big step apart, stepping together, calf raising up. Big step apart, big step back to hip width, raising up. All right. So we're just going to do this for 1 minute intervals before we rest. We'll get around 2 to 3 in, and then that'll leave us a couple of minutes at the end just to go through any questions or any feedback. All right. Now with this, I want you to think about having soft bent knees, but not going out in front. So just bend them a little bit, stick your bum back a bit, similar to the hinge. From there, as we step, I'm stepping to my right. I'm trying not to let my left knee do that and cave in. So I'm keeping it pushed out. Same with my right knee. I'm not letting it cave in. I'm keeping it pushed out. As I step across, same thing. Knees are staying in line with the middle of my feet. Then we straighten up, go into our tiptoes, back down, and that's 1. Big step, keeping knees out, big step, raise, and down. Good, let's go again. Step, step, raise, down. If you need a chair, just have that chair near you, working around the chair. Step, step, raise, down. Good. Step, step, raise, down. Let's go for 2 more. Step, step, raise, down. 1 more. Step, step, raise, down. Good. Have a little rest. About 30 seconds. We'll do 1 more round of that, and then we will finish up with a little bit of time if you have any questions. So the beauty of this one, I guess weakness in our hips is pretty common. In my opinion, it's a lot to do with because we sit on them for a lot of our day. And it's hard to avoid sitting, whether you're driving, eating, going to the bathroom, reading, whatever. Working is the biggest one, but getting off this muscle lengthening out our body so it has more opportunities to work, and then doing exercises to stimulate it is the way to start restoring function and mobility and movement through our body. All right, so knocked knees is a very common one I see in the gym, and flat feet. So if we can build on getting these knees out, build on some stability and strength through the hips, it's going to help the feet, it's going to help all the way up the chain. All right, let's go for one more round. Getting set, we're going to try to do about 10 reps, so 10 calf raises, 5 steps each side. So take a big step, step, raise up and down, step, step, raise up and down. Good. Let's keep going with that tempo. Trying to keep those knees out, shoulders level throughout it. We've got 6 left. As you're raising up onto your toes, do your best to not let the calves and the ankles, roll outwards. So you want to keep that alignment. Got 3 left, I believe. Keep it going. Last 2. Last one. And down. Good work. So you can take your band off. I'd recommend probably sitting down to do it. Untie your band. And then if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer some. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming. I'll give you a minute now. I'll just grab a drink. But well done, everyone. Thanks for having your cameras on. Thanks for participating. Everyone got around it. And everyone seemed to do really well.
Thank you.
Thank you.